The waves crashed like accusations, each one dragging grains of sand from under my feet, as if the ocean itself wanted to pull me under and never let go. I stared at the horizon, the Golden Gate Bridge a rusty skeleton against the dying light, wondering if jumping would feel like freedom or just another failure. That's when she sat down beside me. Uninvited, unapologetic, her perfume cutting through the salt air like a lifeline I didn't know I needed. Her name was Elena, she said, as casual as if we'd planned this meeting months ago. You look like you're carrying the weight of the world, she murmured, her voice soft but steady, like the hum of the city traffic far behind us. I glanced at her, mid-30s, maybe, with sun-kissed skin and eyes that held stories of their own, and for the first time that day, I didn't feel utterly invisible. I hadn't come to Baker Beach to talk to strangers. San Francisco's fog had rolled in thick that morning, mirroring the haze in my head after Mark left. 3 years, evaporated in a single text. I can't do this anymore. It's not you, it's us. Lies. It was always me, the quiet doubts, the unspoken fears about being gay in a world that still whispered judgments behind closed doors. I'd driven out here from our No Valley apartment, the one with the creaky hardwood floors and the bay window where we'd watched pride parades together, just to scream into the wind where no one could hear. But Elena didn't scream. She unpacked a thermos of coffee, black, no sugar, just like mine, and poured 2 cups without asking. Black enough to wake the dead? She asked, handing me one. Her smile was crooked, the kind that said she'd been broken once too. I took it, the warmth seeping into my palms, and muttered a thanks that came out more like a grunt. We sat in that fragile silence for what felt like hours, though the sun hadn't dipped much lower. The beach was emptying out, joggers pounding the path, families folding their blankets like surrender flags. A couple walked by hand in hand, the man's arm slung low around her waist, and I felt that familiar twist in my gut. Not jealousy, exactly. Envy for the ease of it, the way straight love got to breathe without the constant side-eye. You ever feel like the ocean's judging you? I said finally, surprising myself. The words tumbled out, raw and unpolished, like they'd been waiting under my skin. Elena tilted her head, considering. Every damn day. But then I remember it's just water, endless, forgiving. It doesn't hold grudges. She paused, tracing a pattern in the sand with her finger. What about you? What's got you out here playing Russian roulette with the tide? I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed off the cliffs. Russian roulette. Fitting. Boyfriend decided I'm not worth the hassle. Or maybe he figured out I never was. The admission hung there, heavy as the fog creeping back in. I braced for the awkward pivot, the pitying nod, the change of subject, but Elena just leaned back on her elbows, staring out at the same horizon. Love's a bastard, isn't it? Sneaks up, promises the stars, then yanks the rug out. Her voice cracked just a fraction, enough to hint at her own ghosts. Mine was a painter. Thought he could capture my soul on canvas. But all he did was leave me in charcoal sketches, smudged and incomplete. I turned to her then, really looked. There was a scar above her eyebrow, faint like a whisper, and her nails were bitten short, painted a chipped red that screamed defiance. What happened? I asked, the question slipping free before I could cage it. She shrugged, but her eyes darkened. He fell for his muse, some wide-eyed kid from the art collective. I found them tangled up in his studio, paint everywhere, like a crime scene. She sipped her coffee, the steam curling like smoke signals. Walked out that night and never looked back. Best decision I ever made. But damn if it doesn't ache on days like this. The sun slipped lower, painting the sky in bruises of orange and purple. I told her about Mark then, The late nights he'd spend scrolling Grindr for fun. The way he'd flinch when his conservative parents called, asking about grandkids. How I'd convinced myself it was enough. That love meant swallowing the sharp edges. Elena listened without interrupting, her presence a quiet anchor. By the time the stars pricked through the dusk, I'd spilled more than I had to anyone, even my therapist back in the Castro. "You're stronger than you think, Alex," she said as we stood to leave, brushing sand from her jeans. "The world's full of assholes who'll make you doubt that, but don't let them rewrite your story." She pulled a card from her pocket. Elena Vasquez, Community Outreach Coordinator at the SF LGBT Center, and pressed it into my hand. "If you ever need a coffee buddy who gets it, call. No strings." I watched her walk away, her silhouette merging with the path lights, and for the first time in weeks, the ache in my chest felt a little less like a void. Driving back through the hate, past the murals of Harvey Milk staring down like a guardian angel, I tucked her card into the sun visor. Maybe tomorrow I'd burn it. Or maybe I'd dial. But life, as it turns out, doesn't wait for maybes. The next morning hit like a hangover, head pounding from too little sleep and too much what-ifs. My apartment felt like a museum of us. Mark's forgotten flannel draped over the couch, a half-empty bottle of his cologne on the dresser. I shoved it all into a box, labeled it donations in Sharpie, and hauled it to the curb before I could change my mind. Freedom tasted like cardboard and regret. Work dragged at the graphic design firm in Soma. Endless revisions on a tech startup's rebrand. Pixels blurring into memories of Mark's laugh during our all-nighters. By lunch, I was scrolling Elena's card in my wallet, thumb hovering over her number. "No strings," she'd said. "What harm in one call?" She picked up on the second ring, voice bright as bay sunlight. "Alex, knew you'd cave. Tie in the mission, my treat." We met at a hole-in-the-wall on Valencia Street, the kind with fairy lights strung like promises and walls plastered in vintage queer posters. Elena was already there, waving from a corner booth, a spread of pad CEW and spring rolls claiming the table. "Figured you'd need fuel after last night," she said, sliding a plate my way. "Spill. Did the ocean eat your ex's ghost yet?" Over mango sticky rice, I unloaded the morning's purge. She nodded, chopsticks poised mid-air, then shared her own ritual after the painter. A bonfire on Ocean Beach, his canvases going up in flames while she danced to Nina Simone on her phone. Cathartic as hell. "You should try it, minus the arson charge." Laughter bubbled up, genuine and surprising, easing the knot in my shoulders. Elena had that gift, making the heavy feel navigable, like detours on a familiar road. As we walked off the meal through the murals of Clarion Alley, she looped her arm through mine, platonic and warm. "You're not alone in this city, Alex. It's got layers, like fog over the hills. Peel one back, and there's magic underneath." She stopped at a street artist sketching portraits, pulled me in for a quick caricature. The drawing captured us mid-laugh, me with wild hair and hopeful eyes, her with that crooked smile. "Souvenir," she declared, tucking it into my jacket pocket. "Proof you're still in the fight." That magic she mentioned, it showed up unannounced 2 days later. Elena texted, "Beach bonfire tonight? Bring marshmallows. Got a surprise." I almost bailed. Another night alone with Netflix felt safer, but curiosity won. Baker Beach again. The same spot, but this time with a crackling fire pit borrowed from a friend. Stars wheeling overhead like conspirators. Elena was there with a guitar-strumming circle of 5 or 6, faces lit orange by the flames. "Meet the Misfits," she introduced, waving at the group. There was Raj, a barista with henna tattoos snaking up his arms. Lena, no relation, A drag queen off duty in jeans and a hoodie. And then Jordan. Jordan Hayes, tall, with tousled dark hair that caught the firelight like embers, and green eyes that seemed to see straight through the bullshit. He handed me a stick skewered with marshmallows, his grip lingering just a beat too long. Elena says you're the strong silent type. Proves her wrong already. Those things are weapons if you roast 'em right. His voice was low, laced with that easy California drawl, and I felt heat rise that had nothing to do with the fire. We talked, or rather, he talked, spinning tales of growing up in Eureka, northern woods where being gay meant double lives and stolen glances. Came down here for college. Never left. SF's got a way of claiming you. Elena caught my eye across the flames, winking like she'd orchestrated the whole damn thing. Maybe she had. As the night wore on, the group thinned. Raj heading to a late shift, Lena to a show, and it was just us four: Elena, Jordan, me, and the waves whispering secrets. Jordan pulled out a battered acoustic, strumming something soft and haunting, his fingers deft on the strings. "Your turn," he said, passing it to me. I hadn't played since high school, but the chords came back, raw and aching, a cover of Wicked Game that had Elena humming along. When the fire died to embers, Elena yawned dramatically. "Think I'll head out. Early meeting tomorrow." She hugged me fierce. Then Jordan, murmuring something low that made him chuckle. Alone now, or as alone as a public beach allows, we packed the pit in companionable quiet. "Walk you to your car?" he offered, and I nodded, heart thudding like a bass line. The path wound through cypress trees, moonlight filtering silver. "Elena's something else." "Ha!" Jordan said, kicking a pebble. "Matchmaker at heart. Thinks everyone's soul needs a nudge." I swallowed, the air thick with unspoken. "Yeah." Grateful for the nudge. Our shoulders brushed, accidental on purpose, and neither pulled away. At my beat-up Civic, he leaned against the hood, close enough I could smell his soap, cedar and sea salt. "This city's brutal on the heart," he said softly. "But nights like this, they make it worth the scars." I wanted to kiss him then, or say something poetic, but words failed. Instead, I mumbled my number, and he typed it in with a grin that promised tomorrows. Driving home through the Presidio's dark curves, Golden Gate's lights twinkling like distant hopes, I replayed the night. Elena's surprise, Jordan's eyes. For the first time since Mark, possibility didn't feel like a trap. But possibility has teeth. Jordan texted the next afternoon. "Coffee? Or are you allergic to caffeine now?" I laughed into my screen, thumbs flying back a yes before doubt could creep in. We met at a hole-in-the-wall in the Castro, chrome counters sticky with syrup, rainbow flags fluttering like battle standards. He was already there, nursing an espresso, sketchbook open to half-finished waves crashing against cliffs. "Artist?" I asked, sliding into the stool beside him. "Amateur. Therapy. Mostly." He flipped the page, revealing a portrait, rough lines, but unmistakably Elena. Her smile captured mid-laugh. "Keeps the demons at bay." Over lattes that went cold untouched. We traded histories. He was 30, a freelance photographer chasing gigs for indie mags, the kind that paid in exposure and ramen. Grew up hiding crushes on the quarterback. Came out senior year to a family that loved hard but understood little. Mom sends care packages still, granola bars and passive-aggressive Bible verses. Progress, right? I shared snippets of my own. Small-town Ohio roots, the escape to SF on a partial scholarship, the design job that paid bills but starved the soul. Mark's shadow lingered unspoken, but Jordan had a way of drawing it out gentle, like coaxing a feral cat. "Sounds like he did you a favor, bailing." "Space for better." By the time we spilled onto the sidewalk, the afternoon sun slanting gold through palm fronds, his hand found mine, tentative, then sure. We wandered Harvey Milk Plaza, pausing at the memorial where tourists snapped selfies oblivious to the wait. Heroes like him, Jordan murmured, thumb tracing my knuckles. They fought so we could do this without fear. The kiss happened there, soft against the plaza's brick wall, tasting of foam and firsts. No fanfare, no fireworks, just right, like a puzzle piece slotting home. We broke apart breathless, foreheads touching, and I whispered, "Thank you." For what? Reminding me I'm still here. That week blurred into a montage of stolen moments. Sunset hikes in the Marin Headlands, where he'd snap photos of me against eucalyptus groves, calling me his muse with a caffeine habit. Late-night tacos at El Farolito, grease-slicked fingers brushing as we debated Scorsese versus Spielberg. Curled on my couch watching Brokeback Mountain, his head on my shoulder, silent tears tracking when Ennis couldn't let go. Elena became our unofficial cheerleader, hosting game nights at her Bernal Heights flat, a cozy Victorian crammed with books and succulents. "You two are disgustingly cute," she'd tease, pouring IPAs while Raj dealt cards. One night, after a brutal loss at Settlers of Cayton, Jordan pulled me into the kitchen under pretense of refills. "She's the real MVP," he said, nuzzling my neck. Planted the seed at that bonfire, watered it with her meddling. I chuckled, but a flicker of unease stirred. Elena's stories had gaps, vague mentions of old flames that made Jordan's jaw tighten, quick changes of subject when the painter's name surfaced. "Water under the bridge," he'd say, but his eyes said otherwise. The first crack appeared on a rainy Thursday. I'd wrapped a client pitch early, surprised Jordan at his mission loft with takeout foe. The door was ajar, voices spilling out his low intense marks, sharp as broken glass. "You knew about us before Elena even met him." "What the hell, Jordan?" My stomach dropped. I froze in the threshold, steam from the bag fogging the air. Mark paced the living room, all coiled energy and designer stubble, while Jordan stood rigid by the window, rain streaking the panes like accusations. "Get out," Jordan said, voice steel. "You don't get to waltz back in and play victim." Mark whirled, spotting me then, his face twisting, surprise, then something uglier. "Alex." Perfect timing. He stepped closer, too close, the cologne hitting like a gut punch. "Ask your new boy toy how he knows me. Ask why Elena's so invested in your healing." Jordan lunged, shoving Mark toward the door. "Enough. You cheated. You left. Deal with it." Fists clenched, breaths ragged, but no blows landed. Mark sneered. "Family sticks. Hayes, remember that," and stormed out, slamming the door like thunder. I set the foe down, hands shaking. "What was that?" Jordan deflated, running a hand through his hair. "Old shit. Mark and we hooked up. Once. Months ago. Before you. It was nothing. A bar pickup. Stupid and forgettable. Elena knew because she was there that night, playing wingwoman for me. When she met you at the beach, she saw the pain, connected dots. Thought pushing us together might fix things. Betrayal bloomed cold in my chest. Not rage, but a hollow ache. "You should have told me." "I know." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "It didn't mean anything." "You do." Rain hammered the roof, mirroring the storm inside. I left with the food cooling on the counter, words choked unsaid. Driving through sheets of water, wipers slashing frantic. I blasted FM static, Elena's card mocking from the visor. No strings. Bullshit. This web had knots everywhere. By dawn, my phone buzzed, Jordan's texts. I'm sorry. Coffee? Please. Elena's call went to voicemail. Her message a plea, we need to talk. It's not what you think. I deleted them both, curling under blankets that smelled of him. Trust, fragile as sea glass, shattered easy. But San Francisco doesn't let you hide long. The city pulses, demands you show up. Days bled into a gray routine, work, gym, solo walks along the Embarcadero where ferries honked like mournful geese. Jordan's texts tapered to silence. Elena's voicemails piled up, each more desperate. Alex, hear me out. It's about more than you know. I ignored them, building walls higher than the painted ladies' facades. Mark's words echoed, family sticks, a riddle gnawing at edges. It cracked open on a fog-choked Saturday. I'd holed up in a Dolores Park cafe, sketching logos to drown the noise, when Raj slid into the seat across, Elena's reluctant envoy. She cornered me at the center, he said, nursing a matcha. Says you're ghosting for good reasons, but she's spiraling. Painter dramas resurfacing. Dudes back in town, sniffing around. I gripped my pencil tighter. Not my circus. Raj's eyes, kind behind the henna vines, softened. Fair. But Elena, she's family. Saved my ass when I came out, housed me, fed me, introduced me to the community when my folks cut ties. He leaned in, voice dropping. Jordan too. That hookup with Mark? It wrecked him. Mark was fresh off a bad breakup, manipulative as hell. Used Jordan to rebound, then ghosted. Elena pulled him out of the pit. Same as she's trying with you. Sympathy warred with the sting. Why the secrets? Protecting hearts. I guess. Elena's got this savior complex. Sees pain, dives in headfirst. With you, it hit close. Mark's her ex's brother. Small world, twisted threads. The pencil snapped. Mark's brother? The pieces slammed together. Elena's scar from the studio fight. Her vague old flames. The way she'd flinched at Mark's name that night. She never said. Raj nodded. Didn't want to taint the good. But now the brother's circling, and it's dragging everyone under. I left the cafe in a daze. Fog swallowing the park's picnickers. Pieces of the puzzle reformed. Elena at the beach. Not chance but fate's cruel joke. Drawn by shared circles. Staying for the redemption arc. Her nudge with Jordan? A bridge over her own guilt. Maybe, or just blind hope. By evening, resolve hardened. I drove to her flat, the Bernal stairs slick underfoot. She answered in sweats. Ice puffy, a half-packed box by the door. Alex. Relief flooded her face. Then wariness. You came. We sat on her fire escape. City lights winking below like faulty stars. She spilled it all, the painter. Liam. Charismatic and cruel. The affair with his brother Mark. A post-breakup revenge fuck that bound her in ways she couldn't cut. How she'd fled to the center for work, rebuilding from ashes. When I saw you at the beach, it was like staring at my younger self, lost, loving anyway, pushing you toward Jordan. It was selfish, maybe, fixing what I broke. And Mark, my voice was steady, surprising me. She winced. He called last week. Liam's dying, cancer. Stage 4. Wants reconciliation. Family reunion. Mark's playing messenger. Guilting everyone back into the fold. Tears tracked her cheeks. I can't go back. But Jordan. He's tangled because of me. That night with Mark? Elena's fault. I dared him to move on after Liam's mess spilled over. The betrayal reframed. Not malice, but the messy orbit of hurt people hurting people. Why not tell us? Fear, she whispered. Of losing the family I chose, you, Jordan, the misfits. I pulled her into a hug, her sobs muffled against my shoulder. You're not losing us. But secrets, they erode. We talked till midnight, unraveling threads. She promised transparency. I promised to try. As I left, her crooked smile returned, fragile but real. Go find him, Alex, before the fog takes him too. Jordan's loft was dark when I arrived, rain pattering like impatient fingers. I knocked, heart hammering, and he opened slow, shadowed and unshaven. What are you? Here to listen. I stepped inside, the space still smelling of cedar. Raj filled blanks. Elena too. It's a lot. He nodded, sinking onto the couch. Should have come clean day one. Mark cornering me? He wants me to convince Elena to see Liam. Leverage from that stupid night. His voice broke. I said no. But it spooked me. Reminded how easy it is to lose ground. I sat beside him, close but not touching. We all have ghosts. Doesn't make us the monster. His hand found mine, tentative. Missed you. The kiss reignited slow, tentative, building to something fierce and forgiving. Not fireworks, but hearth steady, warming the chill. We didn't rush, just held on. Rain a curtain against the world. But the world intrudes. Dawn broke gray and unrelenting, the kind of San Francisco morning that clings like damp wool. Jordan and I woke tangled in his sheets, the loft skylight framing a sky heavy with promise or threat. Today's the day, he murmured, tracing my collarbone. Liam's vigil at the beach. Elena asked us to come. I tensed, Mark's sneer flashing. Confrontation central. He propped on an elbow. I serious. Or closure. For her. For us. We drove out together. My Civic groaning up the twists to Baker Beach. The same sands where it started. Waves now leaden under overcast. Elena waited by the water. Alone at first. A thermos clutched like a talisman. She hugged us fierce, whispering thanks that needed no words. Raj and Lena arrived soon after, the misfits forming a quiet perimeter. Blankets spread against the chill. Mark showed with the sun's hesitant peak. Liam in a wheelchair beside him, gaunt, eyes hollowed by chemo, but alive with that painter's fire. Elena approached slow, Jordan's hand steady in mine a lifeline. Elena, Liam rasped, voice wind-whipped. I was wrong. All of it. Words flowed then, apologies jagged as broken brushes, regrets painted in broad strokes. Mark hovered, silent for once, his armor cracking as Elena forgave not with ease, but with grace earned in fire. Family isn't blood, she said, voice carrying over the surf. It's choice, and I've chosen mine. Liam's gaze shifted to Jordan, then me, assessing, softening. Heard about you too. Good. Life's too short for half measures. A weak smile. Then to Mark. Let go, brother. We're not kids fighting over crayons anymore. The climax crested not in shouts, but tears, Mark breaking first, shoulders shaking as he knelt by his brother, the ocean bearing witness. We stayed till the tide turned, sharing Elena's coffee, stories weaving like threads mending a tear. Liam sketched in the sand with a stick, waves, bridges, figures hand in hand, his hand trembling but sure. For the poster, he joked, voice fading. Your story. As dusk fell, Liam wheeled away with Mark, a tentative arm around his shoulder. Elena lingered, sand in her hair, eyes clear. Human. Huh? Messy. But worth it. Jordan and I walked the path last, fingers laced, the bridge a beacon ahead. Shifted worlds, I said, echoing the hook that started it all. He squeezed my hand. And still shifting. Together. Back in the city. Life resumed. Not perfect, but textured. Elena's center thrived. Her outreach expanding to art therapy for queer youth. Liam's sketches donated as starters. Jordan's photos graced a local zine. One of us at the beach going viral in small circles, caption, waves of us. Mark faded to occasional texts. Amends in pixels. Me? I quit the firm for freelance. Designs bold with color and courage. Nights, we'd host misfit dinners. Laughter drowning old echoes. Love, I learned, isn't absence of storm. It's the anchor holding through. One evening, months on, we returned to Baker Beach, sunset blazing, no fog in sight. Elena joined, thermos in hand, Jordan's guitar slung over his shoulder. As waves lapped gentle, he strummed that haunting melody, Elena harmonizing, me silent but full. In that moment, alone no more, the world felt vast and kind. Shifted, yes, but toward light.